Hello ladies and gentlemen, Ted here, and sorry about not having uploaded on this channel in a while, and sorry about not having done any Taste of the Week episodes in quite some time, and sorry about uploading this video, the first topical video I've done in quite some months, because of course I don't talk about these issues on this platform here quite a bit. I usually leave it up to much larger, more significant YouTubers to talk about these kind of issues. In this case, I am talking, of course, about the recent controversy on YouTube surrounding the DaddyOFive channel, which I will not get into the initial details of. If you want to find out about this, I strongly recommend you go and watch the videos of people such as Jonathan Scarce, Philip DeFranco, and other people who have covered this issue on YouTube and Twitter in the last couple of days. The reason why I wanted to talk about this particular issue, though, is because of the fact of just how much the seeming abuse that the parents are exhibiting towards their kids in these pranks seems to be affecting their young lad Cody, and why the exact specifics are that they seem to be directing the brunt of the most significant extent of this prank-centric abuse towards him is somewhat unknown to me. It seems like some are theorising that he could be the nephew or adopted or something like that, and as a result there may be a stigma involved in there to funnel more abuse from the parents towards Cody, which, if that is the case, that is quite concerning and quite upsetting. And the main reason why I wanted to talk about this issue is because the extent to which Cody seems to be receiving this abuse seems to affect him to such an extent that he's starting to seemingly exhibit symptoms of certain mental, psychological and learning disabilities such as perhaps autism, OCD, perhaps even post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, I strongly recommend you go and follow people like Jonathan Scarce, Philip DeFranco and other people on YouTube and Twitter, notable people who have covered this issue in the last few days, because they will have more information and a greater reach than I do to sort of get their message out. So I strongly recommend watching the videos those kind of people have made on this issue in the recent few days, and their Twitter accounts as well, just so you can keep up to date step by step, and also to research the situation yourselves, because while some might say, well, Ted, you're such a small YouTuber, what worth is you talking about this issue? Well, I feel like this is one of those issues where the less people talk about it, whether or not they're small or large, the less consideration it will get, because while this controversy has been surrounding this YouTube channel in the last few days, their subscription and view count hasn't really taken that much of a hit. They're still earning a considerable amount of money per video, and as the parents proudly tote in some of their videos, the hate is certainly worth the extent to which they put out these pranks in order to buy cool stuff for them and their kids. Now, using YouTube as your living, I can certainly respect and understand that, but at the same time, I feel there is a certain, moral dilemma here. To what extent do you balance out the benefit of gaining money from doing YouTube as seemingly a full-time career against the psychological and mental well-being of what seems to be one of your own kids? It strikes me as particularly amoral to balance out the mental and psychological abuse of a child as being justifiable for gaining upwards of a few $100 every video, which is a significant amount of money when you're uploading several times every week, and that's just at like the minimum bracket really of what they averagely earn every video. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this in somewhat of a rambling way, I'm sorry, but is the fact that I myself have suffered for my life with autism and dyspraxia, and while the symptoms I displayed correlating to autism when I was younger seem to be certainly not as extensive or significant as those displayed in Cody on the DaddyOFive's channel, they do remind me of things I used to do, in the sense that I used to sort of squeeze my arm quite tightly, and I used to get very stressed out in a similar way to how he seems to exhibit in certain videos recently shown on the DaddyOFive channel, and especially when I was left out of things. And the thing is, while I was left out of things, it was usually in terms like minor things, such as, you know, minor sort of conversations at school or something. With Cody, he's being left out of going to Disneyland with his family, and I feel that because of that, and because of the extent to which his, you know, symptoms of these kind of conditions are being treated by his family as just being weird and being something else other than just bad behaviour, is going to just make it worse, because it clearly shows that the parents are either so ignorant or so malicious in regards to Cody's current state of well-being, both mentally and physically, that they are willing to put the profit of their channel above his personal well-being as a general rule of thumb. And that makes me quite upset, because when I was growing up, I had quite a significant amount of support from my family and you know, learning assistance services in regards to the symptoms I showed in regards to dyspraxia and autism. And even then, dealing with that kind of thing when I was younger was quite difficult. It certainly wasn't easy. At times I did get very upset, very angry, and very stressed out, and very difficult to communicate with. I sometimes do still exhibit some certain stereotypes and symptoms of that sort nowadays, but albeit somewhat more toned down now that I'm a lot more older and I have a lot better support now. And even then, it's still occasionally a bit difficult to deal with these kind of things. And my autism and dyspraxia is somewhat mild, and so I'm just imagining, you know, if I find it somewhat difficult to deal with just mild autism and dyspraxia, with a significant amount of support throughout my life from both friends, family, and you know, services at hand to help me, what must it do to someone like Cody, who expresses this symptoms that are like 10 times worse, 10, 20, 30 times worse than anything I ever exhibited when I was his age? And not only that, but he's not even getting any sort of common sort of care from his parents in regards to these symptoms and how they're affecting them, and instead are seeming to exhibit behaviour within their videos that seem to be exasperating and aggravating these symptoms to quite a significant degree, that they'll really only get worse. And I'm kind of very much worried about this in regards to not just Cody's well-being, but also the well-being of the other children, because while they of course don't seem to be getting this abuse as much as Cody does, they seem to be still getting it to a certain degree regardless, and that's just not right at all, really. So, you know, it just... I'm sorry this video is a bit rambly, it is. I understand that. I understand this isn't a very good video, but I just felt like I needed to get my piece out there and just sort of rant about it for a bit, because when I think about how hard it was for me to deal with my, you know, personal sort of issues when I was younger, with the amount of support that I have, you know, and then I look at this case, it's just depressing, really. It really is. It's quite sad and upsetting, you know, for, you know, and like I said, this is someone speaking who has a thick skin and prides themselves on having a thick skin, and I do not get offended by much at all, really. So when I see something like this, you know, a case of sort of mental abuse that is so significant that the other children have come to the sense of normalising their idea that their parents, at the very least, don't, physically hit them, clearly shows that the mental abuse on hand here is so significant that it's almost like it's being normalised in these videos. Like, in their recent response to all this hate that the family and the channel have been receiving recently, one of the kids stated that at least not beating us like most parents, making it out that most parents beat their kids and physically abuse them, normalising the idea that what the parents are doing to their kids, particularly Cody, is just banter and humorous sort of jargon to put in their videos as pranks and to vlog their whole life. It's just depraved, really. That's all I can really say about it. I just hope that this situation gets resolved in a way that, rightfully punishes those who are guilty, in this case, to a fair degree, but helps those who are the victims in this case in a balanced manner. Because I feel like this is such a grey moral area and such a delicate situation that a heavy-handed approach just isn't viable, really. But what can you do? I'm sorry about this being somewhat serious and being one of the more topical videos I've done in recent times, but I'm sorry, I just felt like I had to get my two-piece out there. Just don't really like seeing this kind of thing happen to little kids, and especially when it's something that I've seen happen in people I've gone to school with, and when I've exhibited much more mild versions of autism and still had significant difficulties despite the extensive support I had on hand. And then seeing the situation that these kids are in and the extent to which I personally believe they'll deteriorate to, it's just upsetting, really. It really is. I don't know. Like I said, research about the situation as much as you can before giving your two-piece on it, especially in regards to the extent and common psychological impacts of this kind of mental abuse, and definitely in regards to the laws of child and psychological abuse in America, where this family lives. Do research on every single regard of this issue and situation before commenting on it, because while action is required promptly on this issue, I do believe that education is also very important in regards to the subtext and common themes that have been brought up by this recent controversy. So I hope you guys will do that, and in any case, while I certainly don't think anyone would have found this video very fun, I do hope at least some of you have found it somewhat helpful and informative. Until next time, do stay tuned, do check out my Twitter, Blogspot, and my two other YouTube channels in the video description below. I've been Ted. Have fun, stay safe, and keep your eyes open and your mind sort of open as well. I'll see you guys next time.